So now that the U.S. is pulling out its troops uh, somewhere in September 11, so what role can U.S. play now that the focus is more on economic activities and the U.S. policy for Afghanistan? So we're not no talking about military anymore. So we're more talking about the economic activities and the U.S. policy for Afghanistan. So what are your thoughts on that?
Let me just say a couple of things about BRI to your earlier question, and then I'll get to on the role
Sure.
of the US. So BRI is one of the manifestations of those policies that I was talking about. You know, in the rise, in the fall of Soviet Union, and then rise of these Silk Road-like policies. BRI is one of those policies China adopted for greater connectivity, right? The idea was, I think, that greater connectivity leads to greater growth. So this One Belt, One Road project, yeah, it's a multi-dimensional project, and one of its very, I think, flagship programs and relevant to the context of Afghanistan program is or project is CPEC. So that's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor that connects the Gwadar port of Pakistan to I don't remember which Chinese city, so to the closest Chinese province in Pakistani border. So this flagship project has already been started. It has already I think 4 dual carriageway infrastructure in place, and over $30 billion have been dispersed, and it's up and running. Sadly, though, in 2013, due to some internal issues and political crisis, you know, I think it was the presidential election crisis in Afghanistan between 2012 and 13 and 14. China and Pakistan both showed a lot of interest in including Afghanistan in the CPEC project. However, that internal and domestic political crisis kind of swayed the tension away, and the presidency at the time didn't, or the government at the time didn't really take up that initiative to make sure that Afghanistan becomes part of CPEC. So unfortunately, Afghanistan was left out of the current CPEC, so it goes, actually bypasses Afghanistan and connects Pakistan to Tajikistan, and in its current format. But both countries have shown interest on several occasions, China and Pakistan, that they want to include Afghanistan in CPEC project. And I think there are several potentials, namely, as I argue in my essay, that there are 4 different potential or connection points that Afghanistan can connect to CPEC and benefit from it. The best one is to connect Chaman in Quetta to Spinboldak in Kandahar. Yeah, I think that is one of the most feasible ones, and that's the shortest route that can be done. So there is huge potential for Afghanistan to actually invest in this and make sure that we connect to CPEC, which brings all these other connectivity that we are talking about, you know, connecting to the rest of Central Asia and beyond that. As well as connecting to the seaports, you know, in Pakistan. The second entry point is Afghanistan. The second entry is Lashkargah to Gwadar port. That is also a very feasible. I think studies have shown that that's the second best feasible option to connect Afghanistan to CPEC, hence to BRI. So there are some other potentials as well that I could talk about, but on that note, I'm going to end that how Afghanistan can actually gain from connecting to BRI. It is very, very real, and we can actually connect to it if we get our act together and then sort out our relationship with Pakistan. But moving on to your question, although less regional, but the nature of the question is less regional. The role the US, I think even in President Joe Biden's speech, he said that we will, so there were 2 very key messages that I think needs to be highlighted. He said, we will move from a military cooperation with Afghanistan to an economic and development. So we will keep our economic, that means we will keep, they will keep their economic and development assistance and cooperation with whatever political power sharing or form of government that Afghanistan may have in the future beyond September or beyond May or whenever. So that is a very important thing, that Afghanistan does need the development assistance. Currently, over 75% of our public expenditure is development budget, and over 40% of our GDP constitutes over 40% of the country's GDP. So it is absolutely crucial that we maintain that that line of connection, and that to make sure that the US's development help and support remains to ensure that what we have gained in the past 20 years is not lost. And the second thing that was very important, I think, in the comments that came out after the announcement of the US troops being withdrawn fully from Afghanistan, was that they said we will move on to a relationship with Afghanistan that we have with all other countries around the world. From a US's perspective, I think that's a very meaningful statement. And I think as Afghans, we should realize that, and we should create a sort of viable platform, political platform, that can become a reliable partner with the US, and thus continue to receive the financial and financial support. Because Afghanistan's domestic revenues, even under very, very optimistic situations or estimates, Afghanistan's domestic revenue does not pick up even by 2030s. So we will be heavily reliant on external financing. Therefore, the US development support is absolutely important and crucial to maintaining what we have gained so far.
Yes, thank you very much. Just a quick note to our audience and viewers. If you have any questions, please jot down your questions